The story of this movie starts with Charlie, who along with his brother Sam participates in the school rowing competition. Finally, they are honored as the winners by overtaking their opponents. After the match, Connor tells Charlie that his luck won't work in the next game and he will beat him. Sam shows Connor his medal, and they leave after the cannon fire at dusk. Sam and Charlie look at the boats in their harbor and talk about sailing worldwide. At Charlie's graduation ceremony, he receives a scholarship as captain of his school's rowing team and is cheered by his friends and classmates. After the ceremony, Sully tells Charlie that he and Green will be sent to Navy headquarters next week and asks him to attend the farewell ceremony with them. After the pitch, Charlie tells Sam he is willing to practice baseball for an hour every day after work and during the evening pitch to make the baseball team of his dreams. Still, the practice condition is that Sam doesn't be late and make sure he is ready to train with Charlie every day on time. After accepting this deal, they start training together. Charlie's mom asks him to take care of Sam because he has an extra shift at work tonight and rushes to the bus. Charlie prepares Sam's meal and sneaks out of the house to go to his friend's farewell party. But Sam gets in his way and asks him to take him to his friend's house to watch a baseball game. While driving, Sam and Charlie talk about Charlie moving to another city to use his scholarship, and Charlie assures Sam that he will never leave him. After picking up a joke between two brothers, his decisive behavior fixes the situation, but moments later they have an accident due to the carelessness of the car behind them. After the ambulance arrives, Charlie sees an injured Sam in his dream, asking him not to leave him alone. He is brought back to life after several magnetic shocks by an emergency worker and finds that his brother is dead and he is the only survivor. At Sam's funeral after the speech, Charlie refuses to hand over his brother's gloves, leaves the ceremony, and rushes towards the forest when he hears the sound of the cannon, and memories of the accident pass through his mind. After crying over his brother's grief, Charlie notices Sam standing before him and reminds him of their date. Charlie tells him he hasn't forgotten about their date and promises to show up to practice with Sam every day after the evening cannon shoot. 5 years after this incident, Charlie has completely changed the course of his life and works in the cemetery where his brother is buried. He goes to his colleague Alistair after scaring off the vandal geese. Alistair tells Charlie that the geese have a personal problem with his work and even vandalize the tombstones and show Charlie their leader. Alistair invites Charlie to his wedding anniversary and asks him to go there to meet someone new and improve his boring life. At that moment, Charlie notices the presence of an angry girl coming towards them. Tess angrily asks Alistair to prune the flowers on her father's grave, but after seeing Charlie, she lowers her voice, says her request more kindly, and leaves. While doing his job, Charlie notices Sully's presence in the cemetery after many years. Charlie tells him that his mother went to Portland and hasn't heard from her, and tells Green was buried here a while ago. After observing Charlie, Alistair realizes he is talking to an invisible person and doubts Charlie's sanity more than before. Sully says goodbye to Charlie while Charlie has been by his gravestone all this time. He goes to the store to buy toys. The girls behind the counter are completely smitten with his beauty, but Charlie is not interested in their offers and leaves after settling the bill. He takes off his glove and baseball, and after hearing the sound of the ball being fired, he goes to the forest to meet Sam according to his daily routine. After rehearsing and recounting the daily events, Charlie tells Sam that he accidentally saw Sully today, and he missed his friend Green more than ever. But he is happy because he can see his brother every day, and this mystery will be between them. As the flock of geese arrives, Charlie flies his new control plane to scare them off. But after the geese shoot Charlie and Sam several times, they jump into the river. Charlie realizes that he is no longer with him, and goes home alone the next day. He accidentally runs into the emergency worker who saved him from a car accident. Florio asks him to drink coffee and talk. At the restaurant, Charlie finds out he is sick. Florio says he has cancer and has passed his life. Florio tells Charlie that he is alive for a reason and should completely change his life path. Take advantage of this opportunity and not limit his life to the place where he works. After Charlie leaves the restaurant, he notices the presence of a beautiful yacht that attracts Charlie. Reporters report on this boat's upcoming transoceanic race. Charlie learns that Tess is the boat sailor, and many fans are eager to hear her talk about the fantastic transoceanic race and how she will win it, hearing the cannon fire. Charlie rushes to the woods and talks to Sam about Tess. He draws his design modeled after Tess's yacht and inspired by the whale's tail, and heads to port to complete it. After a chance meeting with Charlie, Alistair asks him to join their anniversary celebration. At the event, Alistair's wife asks him to meet her friend, but after failing to connect with her, Carnes asks him out for a drink after meeting Charlie for years. Tess is at the same cafe to check the weather with Tink, her mentor and stepfather. Tink tells her that the conditions are not favorable for her training, but Tess explains she needs this training before the competition and will stay out of the storm. Connor asks Charlie to continue drinking with him, but when Charlie learns Tess is there, he stops drinking. Connor angers Charlie by talking about his accident, and Charlie leaves the cafe after knocking Connor down. While checking on Tess's boat, he notices her presence and apologizes to her for his behavior. They talk to each other about Connor's false behavior. Tess tells him she is her high school classmate and has known Charlie for a long time. He tries to keep talking by showing Tess his design and explaining to Tess his modifications to the boat structure. She sees a picture of his ship in the office. Charlie wishes him luck in her race and leaves. The next day, Tess checks the weather conditions with her coach to practice. Despite her father's insistence on staying out of the storm, she heads out into the shower to test herself before the competition to prepare herself for the harsh conditions. To try, Charlie talks to Sam about the transoceanic race and tells him that he can easily win the race. Still, he can't compete because of Sam, and doesn't mind because he prefers his brother to compete. They play their usual muddy games in the rain and have a good time. Charlie notices Tess's presence after shooing away the pesky geese. He says he was caught in bad weather last night and fell asleep on his father's grave. Charlie takes her home and tends to test his wound. Tess asks Charlie why he didn't continue sailing after his brother's death. But Charlie tells Tess that he will talk to her about it another time. Tess reminds she will not be in the city for 6 months for the tournament and leaves the house. After calculating the remaining time until the ball is fired, Charlie goes to Tess and invites her to his place for dinner. After that, he goes to the forest. During practice, he talks to Sam about a dinner date tonight, after dinner and drinks. Tess asks Charlie to give her a drawing drawn of his boat after she returns from the competition. He tries to kiss Tess, but she changes the subject, and in response to Charlie's question about her limping legs, mentions that she was hurt and thrown around the ship due to a dream she had in a storm. Charlie finally kisses Tess, but Tess says that she shouldn't lose focus on the race because she won't be able to see Charlie again for 6 months, and she'll be utterly obsessed with him mentally. She immediately leaves the house, and Charlie alone, but after a few seconds she knocks on the door and asks Charlie to find her in the forest. Charlie goes to the woods and they kiss each other in the forest's darkness and spend a romantic night. Charlie explains to Tess the scar on his chest caused by the magnetic shocks, which he finds very attractive, and they spend the night in each other's arms. Charlie starts his morning in the arms of the goose. Tess asks him to find her with a paper stuck to the door. Charlie finds her, and for the first time in years, he aboard a yacht and heads out to sea. At sunset and from the watchtower, Tess sings a beautiful poem to Charlie and asks him to be with her, and as a support force in this tournament. But he does not accept, and after hearing the sound of cannon fire asks Tess to go back to the cottage and quickly goes to the forest. He stops him from going at the last moment. Sam talks about Charlie's waning feelings for him and tells he feels lost and empty without him. But Charlie tells this will never happen, and he will always be by his little brother's side. He realizes Tess is there and has heard him talking to his brother's spirit. He explains to her about their condition and tells he can't lose Sam. And despite Tess's insistence on getting out of the woods, he asks her to go home and forget him. The next day, Tess goes out for a walk, but notices that her image is not reflected in the mirror, and at the same time Charlie, while drinking coffee with the police report, realizes that Tessa's boat was caught in a storm 3 days ago, and her condition is not known. He immediately returns home to find her with his boat, but realizes it is too late. He goes to Tessa's father's grave, explaining that her yacht never returned, and she is now in limbo. Tess says he has to find her and asks Charlie for help, but Charlie cries and she disappears. He destroys the house in anger, and after hearing the sound of the cannon shot, he goes to the forest with great sadness and explains the story to Sam so that he can comfort his brother. While cleaning the house, Florio's wife goes to his house and tells him Florio died, and in his last moments asks her to give Charlie his necklace, a Jewish symbol, because he believes that he was chosen to save the next person. Looking at the chain, Charlie notices Tessa's handwriting and remembers Florio's words. He realizes that Tess is still alive and must find her before it's too late. He asks Tessa's stepfather to allow him to find her with the help of the ship, but he refuses, calling Charlie a madman. After Tink goes shopping, he steals the ship with Alistair's help, but at the last moment he makes it to the boat. After hearing Charlie's words about knowing Tessa's current location, Tink decides to trust him, and together they head toward the possible area of Tessa's boat. After 16 hours of driving on the ship, Tink asks Charlie to rest, and he goes to the back of the boat. As the sun sets, and after the cannon is fired, Sam realizes his brother will not come to see him. Charlie apologizes to Sam and promises him that they will be brothers forever. After hearing Charlie's words and saying goodbye to him, Sam decides to leave Purgatory and becomes the Light, and after 5 years he reaches peace, following the comet's trail on Sam's behalf. Charlie guides the ship there where they find the wreckage of Tessa's boat, despite Alistair's insistence that the water temperature is low and the weather conditions are dangerous. He decides to go into the water to save her. After passing inside the ship and leaving it, he hits the rock, goes into the cave, and brings herself to him. Charlie saves Tess from death by hugging her, and they are both saved. Alistair tells this news in the hospital with a quote from his doctor. After some time, Charlie goes to Tessa's house with his old boat. After talking about Tessa's recovery, he asks her to return to the water again, but Tessa refuses, saying, during this time she had dreams of Charlie in her mind that were more vivid than reality. Charlie explains to Tess that she is reminiscing. He rereads the poem that Tess read to him to reassure Tess of the reality of the memories. After this reminder, Tess trusts him and agrees to Charlie's request, and they go on the ship together and start their romantic relationship. Make sure to like and subscribe so you can watch more videos like this. See you soon.